Good night, everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? I'm so glad to be back. This is the Freedom Radio broadcast, and it's your girl, Dakira Humes, coming back with another Bible study. I haven't actually been on here for such a long time, so I'm actually kind of excited. There's a lot that's been happening, a lot of things that has gone on since the last time I've been on here. So I'm going to pray, and then we're going to get right into this, okay? So God, I just thank you, God, for everything that you've done. Thank you, God, for who you are and who you are in our lives. I just pray that you'll help them to listen, God. Open their ears, God. Help them, God, to not rebuttal or what they think that they are, or talk about who they are and how they cannot connect with these things. But help them, God, to really look within themselves. Help them, God, to really connect with what I'm saying, God, because we can all go through this. We all go through this cycle of losing our zeal and things like that. So I pray that you help them, God, to connect. Help them, God, to realize. Help them, God, to run back to you at the end of this. And just never pray. Amen. Amen. Okay, so my topic today, if you didn't catch it in the prayer, is losing our zeal. So right here, I have the paper. So you're going to see me look back and forth on the paper, but because I just have a lot of scriptures and things like that. So, zeal. I'm going to go over the term zeal. Zeal, a burning desire to please God, to do his will, and to advance his glory in the world in every possible way. It is a desire that which no man feels by nature, which the Spirit puts in the heart of every believer when he is converted, but one some believers feel so much stronger than others that they alone deserve to be called zealous men. Okay, so zeal is a burning desire. It's something that you are like really wanting, like a regular desire, but this is like a true burning desire, which is a total difference. So that's, I know sometimes in the Bible there was people who were called zealous men, or I'm not sure what they were called exactly, but I know I did see terms of zealous. And this is why I know what it was. And I wanted to get an actual definition of what it was through the internet, and a biblical definition, of course. So zealous, right? Zeal. So it's just a shorter term. Okay. For me, I lost my zeal. How many of us lose our zeal? Like, lose our desire? And with God, like with doing the things of him and just worrying about, praying. Oh, I don't feel like praying. I don't feel like doing this and that. It's just so much. I'm just going to go and do what I used to do. I'm just going to chill out and whatever. That's what was happening. That's why I felt lost, or felt as if I did. I don't know when it fully occurred, honestly. My desire to I just knew it was the end of the school year. Everybody, what I'm saying? End of the school year, I was excited to go to summer, and I don't know. It was just like, I was not in the prayer line for like that whole week. Because I was waking up late, and it was just like, I didn't get on after I, got ready and things like that. It was just like that. If you don't start your day the way it's supposed to be started off, I'm telling you, it runs you off course totally. So I lost that zeal. And then the next week, it was just like, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. But I did. I really did. Okay? So I also wrote that a lot of times we let our minds and other things take us wherever it wants to go. And this could be our minds and our flesh. Because if we're not really going into the things of God, then our minds are not renewed. So when I say we let our minds take us wherever we want us to go, is because it's for the people that their minds are not renewed, and where the mind is still, battling the flesh and still letting the flesh do what it wants to do. So for me, I just let my mind go wherever it took me. Just let it go, and just let my flesh control me in those moments when I shouldn't have been controlled, Okay, so right here, I have some scripture that correlates with what I went through, with what everyone I feel like should be able to connect to. Everyone should be able to connect to the same thing throughout their journey. If they just started it or been on it for a long time, there's moments, even if you don't tell anyone, there's moments where you really have lost it, where you don't feel like going on, where you don't feel like continuing. You look at everyone else in the world and they're just living their lives, and it seems like it's better. But it might look better for now, and then that at the end of their life term, then you get to see what the actual result is. You know what I'm saying? We look from the outside knowing that, okay, this thing's not better, but we still get distracted. We still We still go into those things even though we know what comes out with that. And we still know that it's not better than God himself. But yet the devil tricks us and we just get caught up in all of that because we desire, we burn it. We burn for that desire. Our desires switch. When I lost my zeal, it transferred into something else. If you're not going and desiring God, you're gonna desire the opposite. You know, you're going to desire the other things. If you're not doing it to him, then you're going to do it to something else. Okay? It's either or. It's either evil or good. Okay? So if I'm not going with the good, then obviously the evil going to come in like, hey, I was waiting for you. You know? It was waiting for me. It was waiting for me. You know what I'm saying? And so that is literally what happens. Literally. Okay? So the first thing is Galatians 6 verse 9. And let us not grow weary of good doing, for in season we will reap if we do not give up. Okay. Giving up. This is what I got from this verse. Giving up. I gave up. I gave up. I grew weary. How many of us grow weary? We get weary. Okay, so why do you think we get weary? What causes our weariness? What causes us to get weary? What really causes us to get tired and, you know, just looking back, oh my God, I'm so tired. Or I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired of waking up early in the morning for the prayer line. Oh, I'm tired of trying to wake up early so that I can get in the prayer line in time so I can have enough sleep. I'm tired of doing that. I just want to sleep until I got to go to work. I just want to sleep until I got nothing else to do with my life. I really don't, but I just don't want to get up for the prayer line. I just want to do this and that. I don't want to get up for church on time. I don't want to go to Bible study. I just want to get off work and go home and just chill. You know, there's so many things. How many of us get weary like that? Or how many of us is like, I got off work, I don't feel like reading the Bible. I know I haven't talked to God or read the Bible today. I just don't feel like doing it. I just don't feel like getting into that. I just don't got time for that. You know, it's just an excuse that we tell ourselves. And it's like, we're letting ourselves give up. We're letting ourselves continue on that cycle. If we want to grow, we have to say no to our flesh and move on. Regardless of what we feel, regardless of what we want. The devil, obviously we have to remember that the devil is always talking to us. He's always trying to tell us stuff to do. And he's always trying to, you know, get in our minds and get on our decision. So if we know that, okay, I don't want to do this. This is okay. I see what you're trying to do. And it might not even be him, to be honest. It might be just ourselves. But I know he's working. He's doing something to help you think about that. So it's still him, but it might just be mostly you, okay? So don't forget that. Just know, if you know that you're not feeling to do that, you go and do it. If you don't feel like reading the Bible, you can be like, yeet, let's go. Let's read the Bible. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. That's what we have to be. We know that if I say I don't feel like doing this, there's something greater when you say no to your flesh and you do it instead of just sitting there and watching TV with your time, instead of just sitting in the bed and praying. Like, how much time we've wasted, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. So let me stop. Okay, if we look back in the verse, let us not grow weary in well-doing. Specifically, it's talking about well-doing, right? We are doing well. Look at it. We're getting weary in doing good. Why would we get weary in doing good? You know what I'm saying? Like, now, originally, obviously, we're sinners. So we cling to evil things. We cling to the bad things, right? That tends to look good in our eyes, even though it's not good, because God says it's not good. That's just point blank. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so when we're doing the opposite of our nature, we can become weary if we're not doing what's necessary. So what is necessary? What is necessary so that we won't become weary, so we don't feel so bad that we're going against our nature, our sinful nature? And that's why it's so hard for us to do good, because we're usually prone to do bad. So for us to not recognize that, or to not think so much about that, or to not let our flesh, you know, bring us back to those things, we have to do what's necessary to keep ourselves doing good. So how do we do that? Put it down in the comments below, okay? Because I want everybody to list their things. We all have different ideas of what it is, but the Bible truly says all the answers. So first, the things I thought of was basically reading the Bible. You're reading the Bible and you're applying. You're not just reading it, but you're applying it. I have a hard time with trying to remember things. And I literally did this one time when I was reading the Bible, and it was a long time ago, guys, as we're talking about losing our zeal. So it's not in this moment. It's nowhere near this moment, okay? All right. So, you know, a long time ago, this year, I decided, okay, I wanted to really know the Bible, okay? So I brought some paper and I continued reading. I started from Genesis 1 and I did like verse and verse. I kept on reading. I read it. I wrote it down on my paper and I stuck it on my wall. So I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm going to put the rest of them on my wall. I'm just going to add more and more each verse. I'm going to have a whole wall of scriptures. Boy, I'm going to be lit. I've only put 2 papers on my wall. Now, let's go back to the fact that I wanted to grow. And we'll talk about why there's only 2. But I wanted to grow. I wanted to get better at knowing the scriptures, because when we are not by the Bible, when we're not around it, when, of course, I have my phone. Maybe my phone's died. My phone's dead. Maybe I don't have a Bible in my car. Maybe I don't have it with me. I need to know it by heart. I have to know it in my mind. I have to know exactly what it is. So when the devil tried to come after me, I'll know exactly what to say. You know, exactly what to stop him back with, so you can just be like, okay, it's not working. Let me go that way. Just like how Jesus was in the wilderness. He tried all these things, but God knew the word exactly the way it's supposed to be said. He knew exactly what to say, and he knew exactly what the devil was trying to do. You know, like he knew. And he had a rebuttal right after. It didn't seem like he hesitated at all. He just was like, okay, he's trying to do this. Okay, I got something back for you. Here's another word. Here's the word again. Boom. Okay, so he got that. You know what I'm saying? I want to be like that. And we have to push ourselves to get to that place. We can't look at Jesus as, okay, he's, you know, he's God's son. You know, he was still flesh. He still battled with it. Anybody who's flesh is automatically, you know, going to battle with temptation. Okay, but he had God. He was the closest to ever become, you know, he was the closest to be near God. Of course, because that is him himself. But he still had struggles. We don't want to forget that. He still had a family. He still had a life. And so if we could get ourselves in the word, we will grow. We will grow. We will grow. So that's the first thing off my list of what's necessary. Applying it. Okay, that's why I was trying to apply it. And I was reading it and I was doing it. And I was just like, okay, let me not look at the book. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And I was excited because I was getting it right. But I stopped. Okay? We can't stop. We could rest for a little bit. You know, we could go on to something else that's going to grow us in that area. But we can't stop. Okay? We can't stop this. It's an ongoing process. And we have to say to ourselves, is it worth it? You know, not looking at it. Is it worth it to care? Like, everything that you experience, is it worth it? We are hurting the person that we say that we love every single day. Hurting them. And I can't do that. I personally can't do that. It's sad. It's like, he done all of this. And every time I think of that, I think of him on the cross. Just that one simple act has changed everything in our lives. That one simple act is what makes me think of, is it worth it? He's done this for me. And I could go on with my whole life of what he's done. But this one thing is enough. It's enough for me to look at and say, this person loves me. And if I say that I love him, let me figure out what his love is. And let me just demonstrate it. Let me live in that. Because if we live off our own love, it's going to be bad. We have our own definitions. And that's because we live in this world and we all have our own opinions of everything. But there's only one true definition of love. And God has that definition. So if we look into that, we'll know how to love him, love others correctly, and be able to be a great vessel in his kingdom. But if we don't, we're not going to love properly. We can say we love everybody, but if we don't really love the way Jesus has loved, we don't really look at what love is and who he is, because God is love, then we don't love. No, we can sit here and debate, sweetheart. But if you're not loving the way God said it is, then you're not correct. You're not correct. Just like any other thing. Why is it bad? Because God said it's bad. Okay? Just like love. If you're not loving right, or you're not loving the way he says, then you're wrong. You're not loving at all. You're just acting. You're playing over here. Love is such a big thing. It's such a hard thing to do. You're sacrificing everything. You're sacrificing your time, yourself, for that person, for people, for God himself. Putting those people first, regardless of whatever you feel. Doing everything so you won't hurt them. It comes with the price. It comes with something big. That's why you have to love everyone. So I guess you have to be like that in every area. Even the people that you don't like. You're supposed to love them even more, you know? Let's try that. All right. Let me stop rambling. Let's move on, okay? So now we're going to be speaking to God and praying to him. So praying, I think people confuse it. Sometimes it's just like speaking to God is simply like praying. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just be like, it was such, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you start off with God and you get into, you finally knowing him, and you know, you start off, you never met him, and you just are new to the whole thing. And they're just like, speak to God, pray to him, talk to him. I'm in my bed. And like, have you ever been in my, okay, no, never mind. Anyways, I have lights on top of my roof. Well, stars that light up and glow in the dark. Sometimes I can't see them, so I have to squinch and then open my eyes up again to see it brighter. So I used to just talk about everything. All my struggles, all my stuff, all the things I'm going through. And it used to be repetitive. And that's how I used to go to sleep every single night. I couldn't even end it. I couldn't even say amen. I couldn't even do nothing. It was just like a piece, just like a talking, and I'm just falling asleep. And I don't even realize when I fall asleep half of the time. Even when I'm not doing that, I don't know when I fall asleep. So that was something that was so beautiful to me. And I stopped. My mind gets so distracted that I don't even know what I talk about. Like, I talk, and then my mouth just stops. It just stops. And then I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, my mind is so distracted and so corrupted by everything. And that's why the place we should not get ourselves. If we get in our word and we just do that, like, that should be the first thing we do in the morning. Praying, talking, the Bible. And then that should be the last thing. And then talking to him before our bed, so our mind won't be distracted by the other things. Put our phones away. Put our things away. Put your children to bed. Do everything you got to do. Clean the house before you get into the word. Do what you got to do. Put every distraction out the way before you get into God. Make sure you don't step out that room in the morning until you get in the place in relationship with God. Until you get closer to him in that moment. Do not step out that room at all. Do not. Get yourself, sit up, read the Bible, pray before you walk out that door. And you do the same thing before you go to bed. Have everything good in the house, everything great, everyone to bed, everyone doing what they gotta do. Okay? You maybe, get yourself ready for bed. Get in the bed, or not, or like this little desk thing, and you read the Bible. And you can end your night with praying to God and talking to him. And talking to him. That's how you end the night. I'm pretty sure your mind will not be distracted because you just got in the word. And if you're intentionally reading that Bible and not just skimming over it and saying, I read this chapter, okay, I can go to bed now. No, you intentionally read it, you apply it, and you be ready to apply it every single day. Okay? You don't forget about it. You put sticky notes everywhere in your room. Have a whole sticky notes party up in here. Okay? So you do that and you get yourself together. I'm talking to myself too. I haven't even done these things yet, but we got to start from somewhere. Okay. Let's not be hypocrites. I'm not coming here like I got everything together, because I don't. Okay. I know I've been working on this though. In the moment of me losing my zeal, I was working on this itself of why I lost my zeal. Why do I feel like this? And I know the reasons, and the scriptures are so plain and so open to, there's many reasons why I've lost it. And one of them is just not wanting to. It's just being lazy. That's the simple fact of just being lazy. You know what I'm saying? That's just a simple fact for a lot of us. But these scriptures go really into it. And I don't want to put on no facade or anything like that. I am getting myself together as some of you are. It's a work in progress every day. No one is perfect, but I am willing to do what it takes. And sometimes we fall off track, but we have to understand. And I look at these moments when I fall off track also as, like, I don't remember who said it. Maybe it was my mother, but it was every time you do that, like every time you take one step back or you fall off track, you come back better. you come back harder because you recognize, okay, I've fallen off track and I got to get back to God. I can't stay here. I have to get back to God. You keep on coming back. You keep on, and every time you come back harder, and you might fall off the track maybe a couple of days later, but you realize it. You come back. You don't just stay there. And so that's what I was doing. And here I am. As I continue to go into everything that I got to go into, I'm going to grow. And I'm going to, even when I do fall off track, and I pray that I won't. But, it's nature. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to let it happen, but I'm going to try my best and go to God about it and to ask him for help. There's temptation, and our job is to not go into that temptation. Okay? The more we do that, the more we grow, the less temptation and less the temptation can hurt us. Okay? So let's move on. Okay. Renewing our mind. That's reading the Bible. Renewing our mind by reading the Bible. That's how we do it. We got to do it. Now we renew our mind. We get to pray after or before. We can do it both. Before, pray. Pray, Bible, pray. Pray, Bible, talk. Talk, Bible, pray. Whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, just got to renew your mind. Get in the place of God before you start talking to him. Or maybe not. You can just be honest and open, but distractions come. And if I want to end my night peacefully with God on my mind, the best option, because you don't want to be every night like, God, help me to not be distracted. I'm talking to you right now. Did you read the Bible? Did you pray to him throughout the day? Did you talk to him? Did you try to do that? Because you could do it throughout the day too. I'm not saying you can't, but I feel like we should always end our nights with prayer. We're talking to God. And if we're distracted, it's going to be really hard. Our prayer is going to be like 1 minute. Like, God deserves more than that, especially if you have not done nothing throughout the day. He deserves way, way more than that. So, read the Bible. Renewing our mind is very, very important. That's mind battles. That's literally the source of everybody. And either that direction or that direction they go in. It's a source. If our minds were pure and our minds were set on God, we would have no problems, dude. We would have no problems. Oh my God. Get ourselves together. We gotta get ourselves together. So funny. All right, let's move on. We have to get ourselves together though. Seriously. Okay? We gotta block the negativity. People from your past are going to be like, okay, what does she think who she thinks she is, who he think he is. She was just doing this with me the other day. We were just out doing this and that. Who cares? We are people who need help. And there will always be temptation, and there will be times we fall into that temptation. But that does not mean we can come back to God. And that doesn't mean we can't come back to God broken, because we're broken anyways. You know what I'm saying? Until we get get ourselves together and God is using us and pushing us and growing us. So just don't listen to the voices, okay? Don't listen to them. Okay, people are always gonna have something to say. It's your journey, At the end of the day, you're not even gonna see them on Judgment Day. You're not even gonna recognize them. And you can't live for people, because people they're broken. Everything that they have to say is based off their own insecurities, off of their own doubts and fears and things of that such. If the bullies, the people that don't believe in you, the people that are just them, just doing too much. You know what I'm saying? It's off of that. So don't worry about them, okay? Okay? You want to make sure that you're being fed by preaching of a word. Make sure that you... All right, sorry I had to change the angle real quick. All right, so let's talk about the pastors. Let's talk about the pastors that are really saying that they're pastors, preachers, all those things, and they are not. They are not. They are trying to confuse us, and we have to know the word of God. We have to know exactly what it's saying. We have to know it by heart, because when we're watching and we're trying to let that feed into us, we get distracted. Another thing we should be doing is letting ourselves get fed by it. Let ourselves get fed by it, okay? And we're getting fed by people that are around us, and we are supposed to be knowing exactly what's happening. If I'm watching a video and somebody says something awful weird, I gotta be like, hey, the Bible doesn't say that. I'm gonna stop. Let me watch the video. Let me watch the video to see if it is correct. Okay? Then I read as I'm watching that video. I read as I'm watching that video to make sure. because we are so distracted by so many things. And as we watch it, we be like, oh my God, he's a good preacher. And you just let all those words just pass you. Just let all those words pass you. And you just don't realize that this man or this woman is not saying the right things. They are putting their own stories to it. They are making it up. They're not giving the word. They're not telling me about the Bible. I don't know anything about the story. They're just adding little verses in. You know what I'm saying? Things that make us know more about the Bible and them using it the right way. Sometimes they use the verse the wrong way. They could take one piece from the verse, but if you read the whole verse, it's not even about what they just said. That's why it's so important for us to know it. So make sure that wherever we're getting fed, that it's from people that you know that are truly seekers of God, and people that are around you actually make sure those people that are around you, even in community with other people, that they are people that are pushing you, that are growing you, that are also on the same journey, that wants to make you better and wants to be fed also back and forth. That's what, the relationship is about. Okay. So this one is really just that we have to love. We have to love. We do. Like I said in this verse, John 14, verse 23, the whole thing's talking about true love. And I was saying also that how I wasn't truly loving. I wasn't truly loving God. Okay? And my ignorance to love and things like that. My ignorance to love was what really pushed it to the edge. Because I said that I loved God. I loved God. But I didn't know what love was. I didn't know what it was. And so for me to say, I love this person, I love that person, I love God, I love whatever, even if I love my shoes, we do not take care of the things we love. Speaking for myself. Because it's like my mother wants me to clean as soon as I get home. I'm like, oh my God, I'm tired. Blah, blah, blah. But in actuality, if I came home, I'll be laying in the bed, watching TV, doing something else. You know what I'm saying? But if I love her, then I will do what she asks me to do. And I've been doing that. Just in these moments I've been struggling, But we're not going to let that struggle stop us from where we need to be. So when we're loving someone, we want to make sure that we do not hurt them. That if somebody says, do not do this, then respect that because you love them and don't do it. Or if they tell you to do it, respect them. And it depends on what they ask you to do. But of course, something that is smart, that is making sense, that is not going against any morals or anything like that. But we have to do those things to love. And I knew that I was not truly in love with God. People always talk about loving God, like falling in love with Jesus. And I don't know if I ever truly have, but I remember those moments, those first moments where it was beautiful, but it was never, oh my God, I'm falling in love with God. And I'm just, I think I don't really know. Because the process of falling in love, sometimes people are falling in love and don't even know it. So I can only speak from what I believe, that I haven't truly fallen in love with him. I think my mind was somewhere else, even in the moments where I was in his presence and he was there and all these things. But I don't know. Maybe it's just a trick from the enemy. It could be just a trick from the enemy saying that, no, you were never in a relationship with him. It was just like, you were just doing this for no reason. I think that's what he wants me to think. So we have to make sure that we're falling in love with God, truly. And we have to know what love is. We know that God is love, so we need to make sure that we're moving in that. We're moving truly, 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 truly in that, okay? Okay? So my definition of love is not the same as his, right? And I'm talking about everyone. Our definition is not the same as his, as I already stated. So I wrote, so when I try to portray that, then I realized I didn't. I said I love him. I try to portray that to him. And then I realized I didn't, because when I found out what love actually was, I was like, I'm not doing this. I don't love him then, because I have to be real with myself. I said that I love him, but his definition of love is not the same as mine. And I have to go by his. So when I looked at it, I was like, okay, nah. So I knew at this moment, looking at this, I was like, okay, this means he's going to take away our grace. This shows it right here that he's going to take away our grace. You tell him once, then you tell him twice. After that, you leave him alone and everything disappears. Let's paraphrase it into what it is. As the person who stirs up division, after warning him once and then twice, have nothing more to do with him. Knowing that such person is warped and sinful, he's self-condemned. That's right. You do it once and twice and you let it go. Now, he's not specifically talking about your life, because we have sinned more than twice, okay? Since a baby, since a toddler, all that stuff. But let's look at it in a bigger picture, right? Where that once or twice is not that. Maybe it's like 1,000,000 times, trillion times, billion times. After those 1 billion, 2 billion times, you let it go, your grace runs out, and you have nothing else, and God closes his ears to you. What are you going to do then? When the God you said, the loving God that you said turns away. Because we only look at the part where God is a loving God. We don't look at the part where he's wrath, where he is holy, where he is the King of all kings, where he knows his worth. He knows who he is. So after a while, he's like, I've given them enough. I've given them enough grace, and he or she has not done what I've asked them to do. So I have no choice. Even though I love them, they have to go. Only people who love me will enter the kingdom. If you, like, literally, only people who love him will enter the kingdom, because if we love him, we will do what he says. If we do what he says, we love him. Love, do what he says. Love, do what he says. We do what he says, just like the Bible has said, we will enter the kingdom. But we can only do what he says if we love him. So it's a back and forth thing. You know, and we have to do it with joy, peace, kindness, all the fruits of the Spirit. So if we don't love him, if we don't truly love him, there's nothing happening. There is not one thing happening. Not one thing. Not one thing. Not one thing. Okay? So I always said, I abused his grace. We all do every single day. I abuse his grace. Right? So for the Bible for the Bible says the wages of sin is death. I'm not cutting any of the bloopers out, guys. I'm trying to be original as possible. So whatever you see that I mess up, I just be staring at the screen, or just whatever that was. We got to see it all. We got to be original. We got to be authentic. Okay. So for the wages of sin is death. So it correlates with this Titus chapter, because doing once and twice, or whatever, how many times, your sin continuously, and then he lets it go, your grace runs out. Okay? Your grace runs out. Just like the wages of sin, you continue with your sin, your grace runs out, and it leads to death. And you can look at it, okay, death, we all die, but people who are following Christ, who truly love God, are not actually dead. You got to look at this place as not your home. You have to look at it as just like a rental, a vacation home. Some just little, you know, my home's up there. You got to be like, this is a vacation. This is a long vacation. We're just going to hop up there when we're ready to go back home. Okay? We got to love our home. We got to love our home. You get it? Woo! All right. So there is more that I could say. I denied him more than once. We all deny him in some ways. Just like, remember that one time, right? We weren't there, of course. But Peter denied him 3 times. And guess what? Peter loved Jesus. But he denied him 3 times. And I was watching this one show. If you don't know about the show, get on it right now. Okay, download the Chosen app. And that's what it is. The Chosen. And it's a show. It's not a movie where you get to watch one clip of Jesus' life and then you get crucified. But it's a show leading up to all of that beauty, all of that pain, all of that expression, where he connects all the disciples together each episode. Mary Magdalene, all the things that he's done, all the blessings, all the miracles in one show. And it's such a beautiful thing. Oh, I love it so much. I'm waiting on new shows to come. But in that show, episode has not come where Peter was denying Jesus. But I imagine how sad that would be. Even in the other movies I watch where Peter is denying him in every movie, of course. And it's a sad thing because Jesus already knows who Peter is. He knows that he's going to deny him and doesn't even realize he's denying him. Because it's a clear answer. Yes, I do know who he is. And the question was super clear to Peter. But yet he denied him. It's not like they, it's not like they try to hide the question or try to change it up to like a trick question. It's literally like, do you know this? Do you know this man? No. Are you sure? Do you know this man? No. Something else? No. It was an open, bold question. Do you know this man? And he said no. So there was no excuse, because we all know from what we're seeing, when we're reading the Bible, that Peter was fine. Nothing was wrong with him. So his mind is on the right level to understand that this man was asking, do you know this man? So he denied him. Let's go over everything and have a good night.